Hello, welcome to Beyond the Edge. I'm your host, Brandy Deutsch.
Hi, I'm Dee Dee DeMayo, your co-host, Light, Love, and Blessings.
So, welcome everybody to the show. Today's show is going to be very interesting. Today, we're going to be talking about allowing the healing power of Reiki. And Reiki is such an interesting subject. That was one of my first introductions to energy medicine. I heard about Reiki when I was like 15 years old. My mom took a Reiki class and she was so jazzed about it. She's like, did you know that you have healing power and it can work through your body and through your hands? And I'm like, that's cool, Mom. And then I went about my business.
Yeah.
I was just a teenager. So it's been around for such a long time, and I can't wait to talk about it some more because I love the history behind it. So I want to introduce our guest. This is Catherine Young. She is a Reiki practitioner and psychic reader. Through her knowledge of holistic health practices and energy medicine, Catherine helps her clients with conditions like chronic pain, anxiety, and she even works with animals. So welcome, Catherine. We're so happy to have you today.
Thank you. I'm excited to be on the show. Thank you.
So Catherine, for people who don't know what Reiki is, can you explain, can you kind of define Reiki a little bit and tell people what it is?
Sure. There's an occurring energy that's always around us at all times. And what Reiki is taking that flow and it's directing with intent the person you're working with to influence that energy to help whatever is the problem that we are trying to take care of. So it is intentional. It's an intention of taking what's already there and infusing it into a specific area. So that, and the energy is intelligent. The energy that's all around us is intelligent. So it does respond. So the more we work with it, the more responsive it becomes. And it also starts to work faster. So when Reiki practitioners work more and more and start to add more hours to their practice, it becomes easier and it becomes a faster flow from the beginning.
That's kind of like theta healing, like what Dee Dee and I do. The more you work with it, the faster and the easier it comes.
Yes.
And I think that's true about probably just about any energy medicine modality, right? Where
yes.
At first it feels a little clunky, you're not sure.
Right.
And then the more you work with it, the easier it gets.
Mm-hmm.
Some people are naturals. Sometimes it just kind of flows. But a lot of times that's like a new skill. Mm-hmm. Working with energy medicine is like a new kind of skill.
Right.
So, and Catherine, how did you get started with Reiki? What made you be interested in that?
Well, years ago when I was living in Austin, I worked with people who had arthritis, and something in me just told me about the healing touch of human to human contact. So I started working with different people on arthritis in their hands and in their wrists. And I would just call up natural energy and work with them. And I got the response back almost every time that the next day they felt much better. The pain had subsided. But I didn't know I was doing Reiki, and I was not adept at getting rid of the energy for myself. So many times I would be left with the pain in my own hands and wrist because I really wasn't sure what I was doing. I was just prompted to do it naturally. And I've always felt like a healer, but I wasn't doing it quite the way it should be done to keep myself protected as well. And that's what Reiki does. We work with the energy, but we always stay protected within ourselves as well. So we do not take on what the other person has when we're working with them.
That's it. And that's such an important part of working with energy, isn't it? Taking on other people's suffering, other people's pain is it's not really healing, is it?
No.
It's just transference of energy from one person to another. And
Right.
it's not really as effective as it could be either. And it's damaging to the healer as well.
Yes, it can tear down the cellular structure. Eventually, it can tear down the physical form if you don't find a way to release it. And that's what we do when we work with people, is that we're helping them to release stagnant energy that has caused blockages that may be emotional, but eventually will become physical, because it pretty much always starts out as emotional and then it becomes physical because it's never released. and it stays in certain parts of the body.
That's interesting. That's interesting. So are there different schools of Reiki? And if so, which one do you work with?
Yes, there's a lot of New Age Reiki. I really did a lot of research and decided I wanted to do traditional Japanese Reiki, which is called Yasui. And Yasui Reiki was brought back to life basically by Mikao Yasui, and I believe it was 1923 or 1926. And he took the old practice and kind of modernized it and brought it back to life, basically, because it had not been a practice for a very long time. Reiki, they found documents dating back to the 4th and 5th century to Siddhartha, who was Buddha. And so it was used in India before it was ever used in Japan. And
Wow.
Maybe even goes back further than that.
Oh, wow.
Wow. That's amazing. And so, these ancient practices have been around for such a long time.
Mhm.
And it's so interesting. I'm just going to veer off a little bit because I feel like we need to talk about the psychology sometimes when people kind of fear energy healing,
Right.
especially in like some of the more Christian religions. They don't
Yes.
want anything to do with that. But the practice is older than Christianity itself. So the idea that it's something that's bad or harmful is kind of a new thing, isn't it?
Well,
Right.
I was just going to comment on that because something, she was talking about all the different forms of it, and then you tied it in by saying, there's the psychology behind it. Something as simple as a child when they're, have a boo-boo and they go to their mom and they're like, and their mom says, well, can I just blow on it? And it's better. It's just magically better. It's a mindset of believing that comfort can come or healing can come.
Mhm.
And we're taught to think otherwise when innocently we're born in to believe something as simple as a mom just blowing on it or hugging you makes things better. The energy exchange and accepting comfort from someone. There's nothing to fear about that. I mean,
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right. And you mentioned touch, Catherine. I used to do cuddle therapy for a while, and it was such an important therapy. I mean, you're right. The hands-on. And tell me, you mentioned, Leslie, that there are hand positions. Talk to me more about the hand positions.
Right. In the Japanese style, there are books, and when I teach my classes in the third level, which is the master level, that's when we go over the more the more important aspects of Reiki, which are hands-on, and that's the different hand positions used throughout the body as opposed to the organs like the spleen and the liver. So whatever we're working on, but that's on the physical level. When we're working with energy for emotional blockage, then we can use chakras and color and sound, and you may not even touch the person. You can actually feel. Spiritual Reiki is a little different than the physical Reiki because you're dealing with it's not a physical aspect. It's a emotional aspect, which is not a physical thing. It's in the nervous system. So you're dealing with something a little bit different when you do spiritual Reiki. And you don't have to have a hands-on or a hand placement. We'll work with tuning forks and to line and make sure all the chakras are activated. Whereas physical is, I've even done almost as much as you would with some sorts of massage therapy, where with the touch and the hand placements, just putting pressure and also encouraging the circulation flow through the back. So it's a little bit different. There's different styles, but Reiki is just really using energy because it's all about the life force energy.
Absolutely, right? Like it's all about the energy. And I love that you work with light and sound and other frequencies. Is that true across the board with Reiki? Because what I remember, because I did take a Reiki class many, many years ago, what I think I remember, and it could have been the school of Reiki, they didn't like to really mix any other modality with Reiki, and it was straight up, this is how you do it. Tell me about your experience with that.
Yeah, I mean, even when I was taking Reiki classes through the Texas Reiki Institute, they didn't really touch upon frequency, vibration. We did work with chakras and color and sound, but not to the extent that I really felt that was lacking. So I started doing a lot of studies on my own and did a lot of research with tuning forks and binaural sound when I'm working with clients. And I got a really fast response using all of those modalities because, energy, it's not just about it's sound. It's many different things that come together that create this unified field. And it's not just one thing, it's unified. That's what that word means, a unified field of energy at our disposal. And once you recognize that there are many layers of that, then you can just go in very deep. And I think we're going to see Reiki start to change in the future.
I love that. That's fantastic. So what do you do for yourself to prepare yourself to work with other people?
Well, I usually do a clearing. I like to use my selenite wand, and I just try to clear off any energy that I know is my own specific and be just a clear vessel for the energy that's coming in through the crown. So I pretty much open my crown and allow a good flow, and I will activate all of my own chakras. And I work with 14 chakras, not just the 7. The 8th chakra is actually the biofield, and I use a tuning fork to test the biofield first to see how strong it is, and then work within that. But I clear my own self. And when I do that, I take my own self out of the way so that I'm not working through the ego, but through the spirit.
That's perfect. That's perfect. I think it's really important for practitioners to do their own work, right?
Yes,
absolutely.
You can tell right away if a practitioner walks their walk and talks their talk. I mean, how do you know? You can just tell right away because something's off if they're not doing their own work. Like, you can tell. And nobody's perfect. Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying that, a practitioner has to be 100% perfect. But when a practitioner is doing what they need to do to keep themselves healthy, energetically, physically, mentally, emotionally, then they can illuminate, and just being in their presence can really shift someone. I mean, I've been in the room with gurus and, high masters who you just go, wow, wow. Right?
Yeah, you can tell they set the tone for the energy and they've cleared it, and it kind of just even repels anything coming in that would block, and it's set out a parameter of, clear. I have a question from, can I post this on here? I'm going to post it real quick. So Maid Victoria says, sound bath, so luxurious. What is happening? High frequency will tune up or attune the organs. Describe the healing science. So can you touch on that?
Yes, because organs have their own vibration, and that's why I have many different tuning forks. So if someone is having an issue with their liver, I will use tuning forks that maybe work with the first, second, and third chakras, and you can work with that sound vibration. And sound baths really do work. That's why the singing bowls are really important for a lot of cultures in Reiki. So the sound activates, and that organ will respond because you're sending love. When you send love to any part of your body that you're trying to heal, it's impossible to heal without love being sent to that part. So you send that love through that organ, and the vibration, it does respond. And they've done scientific research that shows that it will respond to the sound, just like a child responds to the sound of its mother's voice when it's in the womb. So everything responds to sound. Plants, if you walk into a Reiki practitioner's home and all their plants are dead, they're probably not doing a very good job because the plants respond to Reiki as well. We're doing Reiki all the time, and we just don't know it.
That's right. That's right. I love that. And that's true. What you said really resonated about the unconditional love, right?
Yes.
The unconditional love is so important. I remember in yoga classes when I would teach yoga, we would hug our bodies and say, I love my body. Can I tell you how many people had such a hard time
Yes.
Just saying those words, it was, and then you get, this mumbled thing. And I was like, guys, you gotta scream it from the mountaintops, because if you don't love your body and accept your body as it is right now, it's not going to change.
That's very true. They're just detached from their spirit of who they are. And Reiki can help people become more attached and have a more symbiotic flow with their higher self, so that they remember who they really are, because we do have a lot of power that's untapped.
I love that. Yes.
I can attest to that, because I know as a younger person, I didn't know or understand the gifts that I always kind of buried or were afraid of. And I didn't accept myself and stuff. But now, I mean, there's times, and I don't want to sound braggadocious, but any healer or any person that becomes spiritually in tune, they know when they're walking in a room, or they know even when they're just sitting, how much energy they were reflecting out, and
Yes.
how beautiful that is, and how bright it is. And it's sad that unfortunately in this world, that the light, sometimes people go the other direction, instead of coming to it and saying, what's different, where can I get that, so.
Yeah, that's a good point. And Catherine, so like, if someone is depressed, I mean, we're having a lot of, lower vibrations hit people right now, especially teens. My heart goes out to teenagers and kids right now, because they're confused and they don't, what can somebody do in terms of Reiki? Something simple. What can they do for themselves to kind of lift their vibration?
Well, I think that to be grounded, first of all, to get out in nature, and to actually, there's a term called grounding, where you take your shoes off, you go out and you connect with earth. I think that's number one thing. That's a number one thing that people can do that doesn't cost anything. It doesn't, anybody can do it. You can lay on the ground. You can listen to the heartbeat and the rhythm of the earth and become one with it, so that when you are grounded, then you can start to lift yourself up and go towards the crown. But you've got to be grounded, because we are earthbound. So it's important to know that, as above, so below. But I believe we have to start with being grounded first. And to just get out in nature has been a blessing for me my whole life. And I tell everybody that I know, you've got to get out, go hug the trees, walk in nature. Just get out into a little bit, go to the beach, lay in the sand, in the water, because the healing qualities of the natural earth are astounding. I've seen miracles. I mean, literally, people can change in a heartbeat just by allowing themselves to be part of nature. Everybody's disconnected. And that's what's the thing about Reiki, is it is not disconnected. We are unified. And when you tap into that unified energy, you are no longer alone. And that's what causes depression, because they feel alone. And they're not really, they're just disconnected from the vibration of all that is natural and on this earth. And sometimes it makes me very emotional, because I see it so often, and it's really quite simple. And I think we have to start getting back to certain traditions that were from a long time ago. I mean, as you know, what was old is going to become new again. It's a circle, and we're coming full circle.
Absolutely. I love it.
I know people always comment, why don't I have shoes on when I walk out to go take the mail? Or
I never wear shoes.
I would not. Yeah. In fact, I don't have any on now, because
I don't either.
It's like, why? I like to be able, and I feel more balanced. I feel, I don't feel as tired, or like my body's off when I'm walking without shoes. It's just interesting. And we have so much concrete here, thank God in some ways, but yikes, I'm constantly going off and walking in the yard, or down the sidewalks. The dog's on the sidewalk, I'm in the grass. I have to be in the grass.
Exactly. So Catherine, can you do Reiki at a distance?
I've done Reiki many times at a distance, and everyone that ever comes to see me as a client, I will usually in the evening when I'm going to go to bed, I will do kind of like a follow-up where I'll do a mental scan of what I did throughout the day and send a Reiki blast to them. And I've done Reiki. I have a nurse friend who I did Reiki for distance quite a few times, and she was kind of astounded, because I would tell her to, get ready at a certain time, and I'm going to send you this blast, because she was having very severe sciatica pain. And so I would send that blast to her, and she would receive it. So energy's just energy. There's nothing really to stop it. I mean, I do a lot of psychic readings online and have great psychic readings. I've got people in California I've never even met, but energy, it doesn't have boundaries. You know what I mean? There's no boundaries there. So yes, actually, and sometimes distance healing can be even better because the person's not standing in the way. And I usually do it at night. And when people ask, is it wrong to do Reiki for someone if they don't give you permission? No, because if their higher self doesn't want to accept it, they won't. So you don't need permission. If the higher self doesn't want it, it will send it back.
That's right. We do the same with unconditional love through Theta.
Yes, exactly.
Anybody can send unconditional love to someone if they don't want to accept it. That's okay.
That's right. It's the same thing.
Yeah. So when you work with animals, Catherine, like what's it like for you, and what's it like for the animal?
Well, animals are very receptive, especially cats, because cats love to be stroked, and they will stay still for a long time if they're getting what they want. But I have done Reiki for a lot of animals, especially older animals that may be in hospice, and they're anxious because they sense that something's happening. So a lot of the Reiki I've done for animals has been at the end of their life, where I'm there to help the anxiety, to give them peace, and to just calm them down. And I use it in my pet sitting practice as well for animals who get anxious when their people are gone or through thunder. I'll just start doing Reiki, and they respond right away, because there's nothing standing in the way of their belief about it. So animals and plants, I do it for plants all the time. In fact, I would like to be the green thumb Reiki, Reiki master. So, but things that don't have that standing in the way are very responsive. And that's why I like to do distance Reiki, because the person's not standing in the way. But animals are very responsive. I've had great results with animals, just in one session. And sometimes that's all they need.
Can you talk about a time when you helped an animal through Reiki?
Yes, I have a friend, Barbara, who she's a pet sitter as well. She's a very busy pet sitter, and she had a little dog that she kept taking to the vet because it was having its heart would race, and you could feel in its chest, it was just pounding, and they didn't know what to tell her, so they sent her home. She called me, and I went over there, and I spent an hour with the little dog, got its heart rate down, told him it was okay, there's nothing to worry about. Just did a lot of energy work with my hands, and reforming the energy around the little dog, because it had picked up some energy from some of the workers that caused it anxiety. And the little dog has never had an issue since. And when she took it back to the vet, he told her, I don't know what you did, but there's nothing wrong. And that was almost 3 months ago.
Wow.
That one session.
That's great. That's wonderful. Yeah. And animals and babies, right? They don't need even a lot of work.
One time is all they need, a lot of, most of the time, because there's not a lot of preconceived anything standing in the way, and they're receptive to it.
Yes.
They're just open beings,
Yes, absolutely. So how can people get in touch with you, Catherine, if they want to ask you a question, or if they want to employ you?
Awesome. Well, I have a few different ways. I have a Facebook page called Zen Girl Magic, and I will always answer questions on there. You can send private message, or my cell phone is also posted there, and my email address. I work a lot of fairs. I'm also on MeWe. I have a site called Holistic Houston on MeWe, where people can post whatever they would like, and they can reach me through there. And I also have Doggy Diva on Facebook, where if people want animal Reiki, they can contact me, because I have a pet sitting service called Doggy Diva on Facebook.
Awesome. That's great. And then your email address, what's that?
It's Catsadora. It's Castadora @gmail.com.
Perfect. Awesome. Well, this is really cool. I've always wondered about Reiki. I mean, I was attuned, but I don't really use it very much because I got a message saying, well, because sometimes Reiki uses symbols, and my highest guidance said, well, you don't really need those. So I was like, oh, okay. But I think Reiki, like you say, I mean, it comes in and it flows out, and it's just utilizing the energy of the universe. I think some people it's just very effective, and it's just perfect for their energy and how they move energy. And I think you're one of those people, Catherine.
Right. It is perfect for some. It doesn't replace regular Western medicine. That's not what it's trying to do. I just think that there's a day coming where Eastern ancient traditions will meet Western technology, and then we can have a happy marriage there and really see the miracles of healing when both sides come together, because there are a lot of doctors now taking Reiki classes so that they know how to treat the whole person and not just protocol, because Reiki is not about protocol. There's no protocol in Reiki. And that's what's the difference between the Western medicine now and why some people are choosing Reiki to go even further in their healing, because there's no protocol and there's no limits and no boundaries.
I love that. I mean, I love that. I love that. Is there anything that people can do with energy healing for the people of the planet right now? A lot of people are suffering. The planet's changing. What can we do energetically to help just help the world?
I think by helping yourself first. I mean, you can't do anything for anyone else if your vibration is on a lower frequency. So I think it's up to each of us to be our own practitioner for ourselves and raise our own vibration the best we can through, learning new and different things every day, taking every moment, every minute of the day. There's always something positive to look into. You can be the peaceful warrior. You can be all of that and have a love for what's, where we're going on this planet. But every morning when I wake up, the first thing I do is I do a little Reiki on myself, and I set the intention for my day. And sometimes it gets away from me, but you have to be present every single second of your life. And I understand what that means now, because you can change the dynamic right there when energy hits you. And if you set your intention before you even hit your feet on the floor, then you at least are starting in the right direction. Don't wait until you've got up and hit a crisis. Start the day saying, whatever comes my way, I'm going to handle it. Through divine right. I can get through this. I am connected to my higher self. And I think that's what everybody can do. And then once we do that, we connect with each other just the way I've connected with you. And I've connected with a lot of people in the last 2 years. I've connected with people I would have never met had things not happened the way they have. So it's a mixed bag for me. And I'm quite joyous about how things are going and where they're going to go.
I was just going to say, you made the comment, whatever comes your way, you're going to handle it. I'm practicing now saying, whatever comes my way, do I need to hand it off? Do I need to let it go? Do I need to, is it mine?
Sometimes that is handling it.
Handle it.
Sometimes that is the way to handle it, to let it go. Yes, let it go. Meditate. Right.
I love
Spend
that.
time with yourself. That's all it is spending time with yourself, loving yourself.
Right.
Flaws and all,
So speaking of setting intention and sending that out, we have our light intercession list. And Catherine, what we do with this list, and I think you know because you watch the show, we add people to this list who might need some healing, might need some kind of energy sent to them. And I want to invite you to actually help us by working on this list, because I think your energy is amazing. And again, with energy healing, it's just out there and it just flows. All you have to do is set your intention and see it happen. So if you know someone, speaking to the audience now, if you know someone who needs light, love, and blessings, just like Dee Dee says every show, you can text their name to 500-3343. Or you can message us their name at Beyond the Edge TV. And so, Catherine, we want you on our team of spiritual warriors to send this energy out and this love out. Would you be willing to do that?
Oh my gosh, I would be so honored. I'm awesome. Looking to be part of something with other people. This is not a solo journey, okay? it is a journey for us all to connect, and I'm very excited. I'm honored for that. Yes.
Oh, thank you so much. We appreciate it. So thank you so much for being on the show, Catherine. You have shined a light on Reiki, and you shined a light on energy healing for a lot of people. And so we appreciate you and what you do. So thank you. And thank you all for tuning in today. We love having you here. We love that you're interested in what we're talking about. And we will see you next time.
Namaste.
Namaste.